From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Building on a plan for the future. See what being a master farmer is all about, Louisiana. Extreme heat, high winds are fanning the flames of western wildfires right now.
It will take a lifetime to get those mature, big Joshua tree forests back.
Plus, joining forces.
And so producers are the area where that change needs to take place.
New effort to improve sustainability throughout the food sector. Right now on AgDay.
AgDay, presented by Pioneer. What's next happens when the name on the cap matches the power of one's purpose. Pioneer. What's next happens here.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Sustainability is currently a buzzword in business, and that includes agriculture with a push to mitigate a changing climate. AgDay's Michelle Rook looks at a new approach that involves the entire food chain working together to provide a solution.
Farmers and ranchers have always had the solution to climate change, but just how they're paid for those practices has been an evolving process. Many programs pay farmers for their carbon offset for companies farther up the value chain, but there's at least one program that's looking at a team approach where everyone benefits. Companies representing about a third of the world's economy are working to meet their science-based targets for greenhouse gas emissions. That includes businesses in the livestock and food sector.
So upwards of 80% of the greenhouse gas footprint of any consumer packaged goods company, food service provider, or retailer comes from their supply chain. And they really don't have any control over that supply chain.
However, Athian is helping the food chain meet their carbon neutral goals based on the products they bring to their customers, from the producer to the packer to the retailer. Not through carbon offsets where one actor offsets the actions of another, but instead insets.
An inset means that there is a particular mitigation or intervention that happens within a value chain for the production of a particular product.
She says there are currently great examples of how this is working in the livestock and dairy industry.
When the dairy cow or the producer generates milk for the rest of the value chain, and that means for the production of cheese or yogurt or liquid milk, then all of the players along the value chain get to participate or get to take advantage of any on-farm practice change that a producer may implement.
So producers hold the key to climate change and now can reap the rewards of their sustainable practices.
And as we move towards a more sustainable product over time, we're going to have to implement practice changes on farm. And so producers are the area where that change needs to take place. And what we're providing is a mechanism that funds those on-farm practice changes.
Plus, there's accountability to those buying credits.
They can be assured that's a valid credit that has passed all of the scientific rigor, as well as the methodology rigor around ensuring it's something that they can report on and count towards their inventory or goals.
And program or not, it will take collaboration among the entire livestock industry to achieve greenhouse gas reductions. I'm Michelle Rook reporting for AgDay.
All right, thanks, Michelle. Russia appearing to still be targeting Ukrainian grain exports, hitting a port city along the border with Romania using drones. Ukrainian's infrastructure minister reporting about 40,000 metric tons of grain, which was expected by the countries of Africa, China, and Israel, was damaged in that attack. The strike's happening in Izmail on the Danube River that forms parts of the Ukraine-Romania border. In the past 2 weeks, dozens of drones and missile attacks have targeted the port of Odessa and the region's river ports, which are being used as alternative routes to move grain out of the country. 3 Ukrainian ports along the Danube are currently operating, the attacks happening after Russia ended that Black Sea grain deal. Now, in a phone conversation this week, Turkey's president told Russia's Vladimir Putin he would seek to restore the initiative, referring to the deal as, quote, a bridge of peace. Leaders for Ukraine and Croatia have agreed on a possible plan to use Croatian ports to move grain out of Ukraine. They would utilize ports on the Danube River and the Adriatic Sea. Now, Ukraine's foreign ministry saying they will now work to build the most efficient routes to those ports. He added that, quote, every contribution to unblocking exports, every open door is a real effective contribution to the world's food security, end quote. Ukraine's currently using land export routes via the European Union as well as the Danube River, which, as we stated, has been under attack. Happening right now, firefighters are working to try and contain fast-moving wildfires in the West. That includes California's largest fire of the year so far, the York Fire, that has crossed the border with Nevada and is currently only 30% contained. It has already charred more than 82,000 acres. As Patrick Cornell reports, the heat has been unrelenting for crews.
As the York wildfire rages on the California-Nevada border, the acres of earth scorched by the inferno is growing.
We're probably going to lose hundreds of thousands of Joshua trees. It will take a lifetime to get those mature, big Joshua tree forests back.
In Texas, the fast-moving flames of the Powder Keg pine fire forcing people from their homes.
Well, every summer when it gets dry like this, it's just a matter of time before the fires start, and it's
going to happen, and just as quick as they get on it, they can control it.
Yeah,
they do an outstanding job.
Yeah, they got really good, real good resources out this time.
On top of battling blazes, extreme heat buckling pavement in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and rewriting the record books in multiple places across Texas on Tuesday. The heat has killed at least 7 people in the Houston area since June. Blistering temperatures aren't just proving deadly to humans, they're also killing honeybees with a historic heat wave melting hives in Arizona.
So it collapses, and oftentimes the queen can be crushed. And if that happens, then there's no other bee there that can replace her. There's no other bees that can lay eggs, so the colony would just die.
I'm Patrick Cornell reporting.
Meanwhile, the central part of the country is seeing some much needed rain, but it comes with concerns about flooding. Meteorologist Manny Gombrek joins us with more.
Yeah, Clint, wanted to start off taking a look at the temperatures as we go through the afternoon. May notice it's not as hot as what we had last week in terms of how expansive the heat was last week. So you still have the triple digits at Dallas, San Antonio, but the triple digit heat doesn't extend back up here to the north. Remember last week all the way up near Canada with some of the 90s and the triple digits. That being said, as we go through the next couple of days, that heat will continue to build. And once again, we're going to set down the railroad tracks for some showers and thunderstorms to develop through a select few locations in the United States. So not a big system coming through, but pockets of some isolated showers and storms, maybe even some flooding as well. Go ahead and take a look at your screen. This is a beautiful one that we have on your screen here. Montana, absolutely nice. This is courtesy of Thacker Harvesting with that sun off in the distance. We've been dealing with some wildfire smoke the last couple of days in and across the United States, but nothing getting in the way of that. This is a terrific picture of the wheat harvest, and we're sharing this picture saying that these views never get old. And of course, we agree. We'll have more on some views regarding your forecast in just a bit.
Several members of Congress are looking to make disaster relief for farmers and ranchers permanent. Now, they're introducing the Agricultural Emergency Relief Act, a bipartisan group of legislators from California saying they're looking to establish a permanent relief program for farmers who lose crops due to natural disasters. Qualifying events would include droughts, wildfires, floods, hurricanes, derechos, excessive heat and moisture, winter storms, and freeze events. Now, they say the goal of the act is to address the administrative changes and subsequent delays caused by the current relief process. Farmers applying for relief would need to purchase crop insurance for the 2 years following payments. And soon there will be a new building for researchers working to improve agriculture in the Pacific Northwest. USDA Secretary Tom Vilsack on hand at a groundbreaking ceremony for a new plant sciences building at Washington State University. It will house scientists from USDA's Agricultural Research Service, including those specializing in wheat, genetics, and legumes, along with members of the WSU Plant Sciences Department. The building is slated to open in 2025. The weather risk to growing crops this season seems to be fading. Well, at least that's what markets are saying. We'll have details on that next. And later, going from pupil to master is no easy task. We'll meet some of the farmers considered masters of their fields in Louisiana today in the country.
AgDay is brought to you by Endzone from Farm Shop MFG, which allows you to rehydrate your soybeans from 10 to 13% on a 20,000 bushel bin. That's an extra semi-load added to your bottom line. Order your End Zone fan control now for as low as $3,300 while supplies last.
Corn futures saw losses for a 7th straight session midweek, and soybeans wiped out Tuesday's gains. Michelle Rook is back with Matt Bennett to talk about if the markets can recover before the end of the week.
A down day in all the commodities on Wednesday. Matt Bennett with agmarket.net joining us in kind of a risk-off session really on Wednesday, Matt. It looks like outside markets, but weather also factors.
Yeah, I'd say kind of would be putting it mildly. Virtually everything you look at on the screen is down there on Wednesday. And so you look, for instance, at, corn, beans, wheat, all up on the overnight markets. Had some bombs flying once again. A couple of ports got roughed up the Danube River. Definitely a lot of angst on the overnight, but it seemed like it didn't quite catch fire like we saw before. Obviously wheat market went up 50-some cents. The last time we saw this just basically 7 or 8 days ago. And so I don't know. I've got to think that a little bit of the excitement on the overnight market, everyone realized that it wasn't going to do anything. And then you come in with some negative outside market news and, crude oil ends up going lower and dollar was up. I mean, there just wasn't a whole lot going for commodities here on Wednesday.
Plus, the rains make grain mentality kind of set in as well here. But if we remove too much weather premium.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you wake up in the morning, you see a big glob of rain on the radar moving into parts of Illinois. I got to think that it stayed out of some of the driest areas of Illinois. I mean, Southern Illinois has done well for the most part. I know a couple of people are probably going to argue with me on that, but most of the clients that we have in that part of the state certainly have had enough rainfall to get by. So, I think whenever you see that on the screen and it's first part of August and some of the forecasts have backed out of the heat, turned up some of the rain chances, I think that your traders are typically going to be in more of a risk-off mood anyway.
And Matt, we did some technical damage, especially in beans, closing below some pretty key moving averages.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether it's corn or beans, whenever you kind of go up there on the overnight and then you settle in below some of these moving averages, I mean, it's very concerning. I mean, whenever I look, for instance, at November beans, I think we've opened the downside, in my opinion, especially when we look at the grand scheme of things. I haven't been super friendly beans. I feel like this latest run over $14 was one heck of a good opportunity. And now at this stage, I mean, it certainly feels heavy. It looks like the path of least resistance is going to be lower. That doesn't mean it will, but certainly right now it doesn't look good.
Thanks for joining us, Matt Bennett with agmarket.net. That's Markets Now, and we'll have more Ag Day coming up.
To contact Matt Bennett at Ag Market, call 844-4AG-MARKET or visit their website at www.agmarket.net. Registration is open for the 2023 Pro Farmer Crop Tour, August 21st through the 24th. Attend one of our nightly meetings or join online as we gain insight on the 2023 growing season. Visit profarmercroptour.com/register to select the stop nearest you.
Yeah, Clint mentioned this at the very beginning. We talked about the temperatures, but also want to focus on the flooding. Now, something we mentioned on Monday and Tuesday, with the way this ridge of high pressure is setting up across the United States, there's going to be pockets of heavy downpours, potentially some severe weather as well. Back into the 15 to 40% of flooding potential coming up on Thursday, and kind of connect the dots. It's right on the fringe of the ridge that we could see some training showers or thunderstorms. And the reason I say railroad tracks is because the term training with showers and thunderstorms, those storms go over the same location and amount to a very heavy rainfall. Flooding potential into Friday doesn't shift all that much. If anything, the energy moves back down off of that ridge of high pressure back into the southeast. We bring in some more energy back up here to the north. Now, what we're following back up in the Dakotas and even into Montana, that isn't anything to do with this ridge. Rather, there's a piece of energy that's going to be kind of floating right along the border and bringing the rain potential west to east back up into the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, even in Michigan, Indiana, as we go through the weekend. Not a big system, but it is something in terms of rainfall back up into the northern plains. This is flooding potential into Saturday. You can see how that moved mainly from the west back a little bit to the east on Saturday. Well, by Sunday and Monday, as we connect the dots, That's going to be more towards the east, into the Midwest, and eventually to the northeast. But it is a shallow piece of energy, not something that's going to dip that jet stream down too far to the south. So very isolated in the amount of rainfall that's going to be coming with it. As for the wind gust forecast, this is Thursday at 3 p.m. I just want to point out one thing. Where those showers and thunderstorms fire back up into the Dakotas, what we're seeing modeled on here is actually the outflow boundary. So the one concern with this is as those thunderstorms die out, the winds they produce could impact crops back up into the plains with some of those stronger wind gusts. Again, there's a wind gust forecast at 11 p.m. on Friday. Reno, Nevada, sunny, high around 91 degrees, low 58 degrees. You got up in Maine, mostly cloudy skies, high around 76 degrees, low of 64. And Tennessee, cloudy, high of 82 degrees.
Cattle packer margins continue to slip further into the red. We have the latest numbers coming up next. Later, mastering their domain, meet the master farmers of Louisiana in the country.
Drover's Report on Ag Day is brought to you by Beringer Ingelheim, because you, the people who put cattle first, are second to none.
The latest cattle inventory report confirms cattle liquidation is still underway in the industry. The latest survey showing beef heifer replacements are down, coming in at just over 4 million head, the lowest ever in the July cattle report. The entire beef cow herd added up to 29.4 million head. Now that's down more than 9% from the 2018 peak, and it's the lowest in the entire data series for the report dating back to 1973. And the liquidation may continue as lingering drought is impacting pasture conditions and hay availability.
We're not getting the broad sweeping rains that we normally get. We're getting your neighbor gets lucky and you miss, or you get lucky and your neighbor misses. So drought's a big impact, and I think it's going to impact the herd rebuilding because of it. You know, hay is particularly expensive yet, and it's going to take a while to rebuild that. And then now when we're looking at the other 4-H products, there's a ways to go, and we really need the row crop guys to have a super successful year because it helps the beef side so much.
Not only are replacement heifer inventories low, but the supply of other heifers that could be used for breeding is also low. The July cattle report showed an inventory of other heifers at 7.3 million head. That's down more than 5% year over year. And as cattle slaughter continues to decline, packers are seeing triple-digit losses. At the end of last month, cattle feeders found average profits near $443 a head. Now that's according to the latest Sterling Beef Profit Tracker. Beef packer margins slipped further into the red, with average losses of about $102 per head. That's $21 higher than the previous week. Cattle sold carried a total feed cost of $578 per head, which is down $2 from the previous week, but still 12% higher than the same week a year ago. What does it take to master a skill? Next, we'll meet some master farmers from Louisiana in the country. There are farmers and there are master farmers. LSU Ag Center reporter Craig Gautreaux shows us a unique program that is all about improving and sustaining agriculture in the state.
The Louisiana Master Farmer Program helps agricultural producers voluntarily address environmental issues and keep their farming operations sustainable. To become a certified master farmer, participants must complete 3 phases, which is a big commitment for the producer.
And it's a lengthy process. They have dedicated a lot of time, a lot of energy, finances, and things like that to implement the practices on their entire farming operation.
The most challenging component is the 3rd phase, which requires the development of a resource management system plan. Farmers work with the Natural Resources Conservation Service to create the plan.
The NRCS provides that technical assistance to write the conservation plan, work with the producer, and work their goals into the property, as well as any kind of compliance issues that may need to be addressed.
A training session for new NRCS employees was held to help explain Master Farmer and the vital role the organization plays in the program.
And NRCS is critical in certifying producers and landowners. Without them, without the conservation plan, these producers and landowners can't get certified.
The meeting allowed new NRCS employees to see how important it is to work with farmers with the resources NRCS has available to aid producers.
Whether it's just installing a simple fence or just doing a simple cover crop, then it's my job to make sure I implement that plan so that customer can have a value relationship with me in the near future.
Nearly 4,000 farmers have completed at least one phase of the program, with 370 being certified master farmers. With the LSU Ag Center, this is Craig Gotro reporting.
All right, thanks, Craig. And that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day.